Hey everyone, and thank you for being here. I know this isn't my usual content, and honestly, I'm terrified. My hands are shaking. My heart is pounding so hard, I feel like you can probably hear it through the microphone. But I need to do this. I need to tell you something that's been eating me alive for months, something that has completely shattered my life and the lives of people I love. I cheated. And it wasn't just anyone, it was with my neighbor. My husband Mark and I have been together for 12 years, married for 8. We built a life, a home, a routine. And for a long time, it was good, stable, predictable. But somewhere along the line, stable started to feel a lot like stagnant. We got comfortable, maybe too comfortable. The spark faded. The late night talks turned into late night scrolling on our phones, side by side but miles apart. He was busy with work. I was busy with the same routine, feeling increasingly invisible. I loved him, I really did, but a quiet loneliness had begun to creep in, wrapping itself around me like a cold blanket. Then, about a year ago, Alex moved in next door. He was new to the neighborhood, single, and just different. Mark is solid, dependable, a rock. Alex was a storm. He had this restless energy, an easy laugh that carried over the fence, and eyes that really saw you when he spoke. Not just glanced, but truly met yours, holding your gaze for a beat too long. It started innocently enough, of course. A wave over the fence, borrowing a cup of sugar. Cliché, I know, but true. Then it was helping him with his garden, or him helping me fix a leaky faucet when Mark was too busy. These small interactions began to stretch. We'd end up talking for an hour on our driveways, about everything and nothing. He'd ask about my day, not in the polite, habitual way Mark did, but with genuine curiosity. He remembered things I'd mentioned, brought them up later. It was intoxicating. It was like someone had suddenly turned a light on in a room I hadn't realized was dark. I started looking forward to seeing him. My heart would do a little flutter when his car pulled into his driveway. I'd find excuses to be outside, to water my plants, to check the mail, just in case. The conversations became deeper, more personal. I found myself confiding in him about the small frustrations, the unspoken loneliness in my marriage, things I wouldn't even admit to myself, let alone Mark. And he listened, really listened. He had this way of making me feel seen, heard, desired. Emotions I hadn't felt in years began to bubble to the surface. Excitement, anticipation, a dangerous kind of longing. The air between us got thicker, charged. Every casual touch, a hand on my arm, a brush of shoulders when passing a garden hose, sent a jolt through me. There was this unspoken understanding, this current that ran between our houses, always there. I knew it was wrong. Every fiber of my being screamed, wrong. But the pull was immense, like a tide I couldn't fight. The thrill of it, the secrecy, the forbidden nature of our connection was a potent drug. It made me feel alive in a way I hadn't felt in years, maybe ever. It was selfish, I know, but I craved that feeling. The night it happened. Mark was out of town on a business trip. Alex had invited me over for a neighborly glass of wine. I told myself it was fine, just friends, but I knew. I changed my outfit 3 times. My hands were clammy, my stomach a knot of nerves and exhilaration. When I knocked on his door, my heart as a drum solo. He opened it, and the look in his eyes exhales sharply. It was everything I'd been sensing, everything I'd been denying. We talked, but it wasn't the usual easy banter. It was loaded. The words were a flimsy cover for the unspoken desire that filled the room. His hand found mine on the sofa, a feather-light touch that still sent shivers down my spine. The world outside, my life, my marriage, Mark, it all blurred, receded into an irrelevant background hum. There was only the warmth of his skin, the intensity of his gaze, the quiet desperation in my own heart. When he leaned in, my breath hitched. There was no hesitation, just an overwhelming surrender. The kiss was electric, desperate, years of unspoken longing erupting. It wasn't gentle, it was hungry. Every part of me ignited. It was a dizzying rush, a complete and utter oblivion to consequence. In that moment, the thrill of the forbidden was overwhelming. It was reckless abandon, a feeling of being consumed, of finally stepping across a line I'd skirted for so long. There was an intense, almost animalistic pleasure in the act of rebellion, of reclaiming a part of myself I felt had been lost. Every touch, every whispered word, every shared breath felt like a profound, powerful validation of my existence, something I hadn't realized I was starved for. Then it was over. And the crash was immediate, brutal. The exhilaration evaporated, replaced by a crushing wave of shame and regret. Lying there, next to him, the reality of what I had done slammed into me with sickening force. My husband, my marriage, our life. It was like I had taken a sledgehammer to it all. The air in the room suddenly felt heavy, suffocating. His presence, which minutes before had felt so intoxicating, now felt wrong, like a stain. I dressed quickly, my hands trembling. The urge to flee was overwhelming. I mumbled some excuse, didn't meet his eyes, and practically ran back to my own house. The short walk across the lawn felt like an endless journey through a swamp of my own making. Each step was a lead weight. I told myself it was a one-time mistake, a moment of weakness, fueled by loneliness and a yearning for connection. I swore it would never happen again. I cried into my pillow that night, crying tears of guilt, self-loathing, and profound sorrow for what I had jeopardized. But then Mark came home, and things hadn't changed. The distance was still there, and Alex was still next door. The next day, I saw him watering his plants, and my stomach flipped. I tried to avoid him, but the pull was still there. The memory of that night, the forbidden thrill, the way he had made me feel, it was a siren song, and I was weak. It became a cycle. A furtive text, a stolen glance, another accidental encounter, and then another night. Each time, the thrill was immense, a powerful escape from the dull ache of my routine. Each time, the guilt was heavier, more crippling. I became an expert at living a double life, smiling at Mark, sharing dinner, then secretly messaging Alex, or planning another clandestine meeting when Mark was working late. The lies piled up, forming a suffocating wall around me. I felt like I was constantly performing, acting out a part in my own life. I was fragmented, two different people, neither of them truly me. The emotional toll was immense. I couldn't sleep properly, my appetite vanished. I was constantly on edge, waiting for the other shoe to drop. The breaking point wasn't a grand revelation. It was small, insidious. Mark brought me flowers, just because, and the look of genuine love and affection in his eyes, combined with the secret disgust I felt for myself, finally broke me. I hugged him, but inside, I was crumbling. How could I continue to accept his love, his trust, when I was actively betraying it? The constant anxiety, the feeling of being a fraud, the deep-seated self-loathing, it was consuming me. I was losing myself in the lies. The thrill had long since been overshadowed by the crushing weight of my conscience. So, here I am. This isn't about blaming Mark or Alex or anyone but myself. I made these choices. I crossed those lines, and I am utterly consumed by guilt. I've ended things with Alex. That was a difficult conversation, full of unspoken reproaches and hollow apologies. But ending the affair doesn't erase what I've done. It doesn't erase the lies, the betrayal, the deep wound I've inflicted. I haven't told Mark yet. That's the next terrifying step. I'm telling you the internet first because I need to say it out loud. I need to take responsibility. This is my confession. I don't expect forgiveness from anyone, least of all myself. I know I broke trust, broke promises, and shattered something precious. I'm scared, truly terrified of losing everything. But I also know I can't live with this secret anymore. The silence is killing me. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if Mark will ever forgive me or if our marriage can survive this. I don't know if I can forgive myself. All I know is that the weight of this truth is unbearable, and I have to face it no matter how painful. If anyone out there is struggling with something similar, just know, the temporary thrill is never worth the permanent damage. The guilt, it eats you alive, and I'm living proof of that. Thank you for listening.